All right, so we will start on the back and we'll need a chair today, blanket, block. If you don't have a block, you can use a rolled up towel, anything firm and that can give a lift to your hips. And if you don't have a block and you're doing these sessions regularly, or you do stuff at home regularly, you might consider getting one because they're really handy and they're very inexpensive. They don't cost a lot of money and you can find them almost anywhere these days. And I like to have two, but even just having one would be good. It would be helpful. All right, so let's start on our backs with our knees bent, if that feels okay in your body. And once you get down here, for me, I always notice when I lie on my back, there's just this sense of rest almost immediately, kind of a letting go. And that's because, when you're lying down flat, with your knees bent, it doesn't matter about that, but just on your back, it's a signal to your brain that you must not be in a too stressful of a situation or you'd be running away or something, right? So it's like this input to your brain to come into more of a rest and digest state. Now it's just one input, right? You could be lying down just like when you can't fall asleep or something and still feel stressed for sure, mentally, emotionally, or you could be sick or in pain. All these things also are inputs to the brain. But we can control this one. We can get down and lie down for a few minutes. And even doing that for a minute here and there throughout your day can be helpful in reducing stress. And maybe take a sigh, just arriving here at your yoga practice. Noticing, scanning your body, just not lingering too long in any one area, but noticing, just have everything feel sensation-wise from your toes all the way up to the top of your head. And then also noticing this is how your nervous system feels wired right now. For example, do you feel anxious, or are there a lot of things going through your mind? Do you have a lot of energy? Or do you feel more checked out or sluggish or fatigued? Or somewhere in between? And our focus today is on embodiment. Our focus is usually on that somewhat, but we'll just spend extra time with it throughout the practice. Embodiment is having your awareness and your attention in your body throughout everything that you're doing, rather than where we often have our focus, which is just in our minds and in our head. Right? So it's like bringing your awareness down into your body, fully embodying this position of lying down. Sometimes being in our bodies can be uncomfortable if we're in pain, or if emotionally we're struggling. So you can always use your senses to bring you into the present moment if being in the body is too much. So like right now, you could use your eyes to look at the ceiling above you or wherever you are right above you. Notice any details there. You might also notice any sounds that you hear. And you can use your sense of touch just by feeling the contact points with your floor or your props. You might feel the touch of your clothing on you. And if it's okay with you, you can go inward again and feel embodied, noticing how you feel from the inside outward, including your breath. You can feel your breath come in and feel your breath go out. Good, and again, your breath goes in and breath goes out. And if you're ready to, you could also begin to widen your breath on the inhale using your umbrella breath. So you might even take your hands to your ribs and feel those ribs expand, the lower ribs that are down by your belly. And then as you exhale, just exhaling every last bit of air out. And then repeating that. So just inhaling, really feeling the widening, and exhaling fully. And when you exhale fully, can you get every last bit of air out and feel the abdominals start to pull back towards your spine? And try that again and add in a little bit of abdominal engagement at the end of your exhale. And then on your next exhale, let's exhale and just press the low back down to the floor and notice how that feels. And as you inhale, just release it and repeat. So exhale, press your low back down to the floor and try to feel your core muscles turn on as you do that. And then release. So these are just pelvic press downs here. Now, if it feels good to you, you could, instead of just releasing it, you could continue to rock the pelvis forward so you have a low back curve. You'll just have to see how that feels in your low back. So you'd exhale, press the low back down, feel the abdominals engage, and then inhale, rock the pelvis forward. And just go gently if you have low back stuff going on. Good. Now, the next time you press the low back down on the exhale, let's bring the right knee in and just give it a squeeze. Good. And then as you inhale, slowly lower the foot, just reaching your arms up and overhead. And then as you exhale, let's bring the left knee in and give it a squeeze. And we're just going to go side to side. Good. Now, the next time you bring your right knee in, let's stay there. And if it feels okay, let's straighten out the left leg on the floor. Now, you can really reach through the left heel if you want to. So as though you were standing on the floor with your left foot. And hold the right knee either above or below the knee. Good. And now let's hold the right knee, with your left hand and stretch your right arm out to the side. And then as you inhale, and draw the knee across your body toward a twist. And then as you exhale, begin your exhale first, engage your abdominals and come back to the center. And then just repeat that. So you inhale, bringing the knee across. And go slowly if you've got back pain going on, or we were talking about like SI joint pain and things like that. Sometimes it'll be that just one side of your pelvis is the one that wants to be stretched like this and the other side doesn't, right? So you can go really gently and explore for your own body. And now if you want to stay over there with the knee across the body, you can. Just let your foot relax down onto the other leg. You could even take your block or pillow below the knee for a little support there. And feel your breath as it comes in and feel your breath as it goes out. Trying to breathe into both sides of your rib cage. Good. One more breath there. And then as you exhale, exhale, untwisting yourself, coming back to the center. And now let's hold that knee again with your right hand. And just make circles with the knee and hip around and around. A few times in one direction, and then a few times in the other direction. All right, now just pause for a second. You can set your foot down actually to do this. So what I'm thinking, I just get an idea for this whole pelvis area alignment. And one thing that can often work is if you're able, if you have anything nearby that you can press your foot into. So like, for example, I happen to have this wall because I'm in this tiny room. So I'm just gonna scoot over to the wall and I'm going to push my left heel. I'm gonna bring my head and neck support with me. Could be a piece of furniture, anything that you can push the left heel into, like you were pushing it into the floor if you were standing, right? And then I'm gonna bring my right knee back in. And I'm gonna hold behind it just because I've got some knee stuff going on, but you could hold above or below it. Now I have to keep scooting closer so I can get enough pressure because what I'm doing is I'm pressing my left heel in and I'm just kind of checking, how does this feel in my low back and pelvis? And then what I'm going to do is straighten my leg up toward the ceiling, holding behind the leg, and then I'm going to bend it again. Now, some people might find that they want to use a strap behind the thigh here. You just put it behind the thigh rather than on the foot for this one. Or it could be on the foot too, I suppose. Okay, so next time you get it straight, here's where we're moving this outer right hip. Okay, so here I am, right, with my right leg up, and here's my outer right hip where my hand is. I'm gonna move that away from my shoulder. So I'm just kind of rolling it out. So my right and my left hip are even across from one another. Okay, and I'm going to press my leg into my hands, and this is where your arms might not be long enough. And I'm going to press my left foot into the wall at the same time. And I'm just kind of setting my, my pelvis into alignment side to side, which may or may not work, and it might not be the side that needs it. All right, so here it is with the strap. Good. And then you can release by bending the knee, and you can stay, if you're using a wall or a piece of furniture, you can stay close to it and just kind of relax both legs down onto the floor and notice the two sides. Notice the difference in the sensations, and also notice the difference in your two hips. Like for me, my right hip now feels a little bit lower to the floor or something. I can't really describe it, but different. Okay. Now I'm going to inhale, reach my arms overhead. And exhale, bring the left knee in. Good, and it doesn't matter about pressing into the wall for this part because we're gonna be twisting first, okay? So I'm gonna take my right hand to my left knee, extend my left arm to the side, and I'm gonna inhale, bring the knee across my body, carefully, slowly. And then exhale, slowly rotate out. And again. Good, and then if you want to stay there, you could, and you could set up a block if you want below the knee. Just let the foot relax. You don't have to hold the ankle up. Breathing into both sides of your rib cage. So really using the inhale here. And then exhale, relaxing somewhere. And noticing, does this side feel like the side that wants a twist today? Or is it the same on both sides, which could be the case too? One more breath there. And then slowly exhale and come back to center. Now we're going to make those circles with the knee. So just rolling them around using your left hand now. And then circle in the opposite direction. Good. And then I'll make sure I can now press my right heel into something. So I've just got a little closer to the wall, and I'm going to hold my left knee in close. And see what this feels like. Like really get the sensation of pressing that right leg totally straight, pressing the foot into the wall. Good, and then you can hold behind the left leg and just practice straightening and bending it a few times. Letting your neck and shoulders relax, still pressing that right foot into the wall. And now you can leave it up there straight, holding behind the leg with your hands, or if it's hard to reach, you're straining in your shoulders, and just take something, it could be a towel, a scarf, whatever you got, behind the leg to hold. And now we're gonna roll that outer left hip away. It's like you're lengthening your waist a little bit. So instead of hiking the hip up and bringing the leg in close, you're evening out the pelvis side to side. And at the same time, pressing into the right heel into the wall and breathing. Good. Good, and then just exhale, releasing, straightening out both legs, noticing. All right, and then I'm gonna just walk the feet back to bent. And if you had to move, into a different location, you could come back now. We want to widen the arms and widen the feet, but keeping the knees bent. Just gently rock the knees and hips side to side, windshield wipers. And again, go slowly and pay attention. Is there a side that this feels really good on? Or a side that it doesn't feel so good and you want to back off? So just tuning in and staying present. Like for me, I don't have a low back pain today, but I can feel when I go to one side, I can feel this whole tightness across my hip, and it feels like it's really helping that, right? But on my other side, doesn't do much. Okay, so just becoming aware of what your body needs. Good. And then let's bring the knees back up to center. Arms can be at the sides. And we're just going to straighten out the right leg on the floor. It doesn't need to press into anything. The left knee is bent. And all I'm going to do is, it's a very small movement at first, is I'm going to press into my left foot and I'm just slightly turning my hips so that my belly starts to face the right, and then I bring it back down. It's almost like I'm going to try to turn over onto my side. So I'm pressing into that left foot, my hips start to rotate to the right, and then they come back down. And this is another area where if you've got issues going on around the low back or sacrum, you might find like, ooh, that either feels really good or I don't want to do that right now, right? So you back off if you're feeling that, of course. And then you could also start to go a little further. So if this side feels okay, you could keep pressing into that foot until you start to roll onto the right side. So now my left heel is off the floor as I do that, and I'm on my right side, and then I roll back down. And I repeat. Just roll into the side. I let my left arm come across, and then I roll back down. Good. Coming back down, let's switch sides. So let's bend the right knee, straighten out the left leg. We're just letting the breath flow here. And same thing, I'm going to push into my right foot, slightly turn my belly to the side, and then bring it back and repeat. As you do this, you might notice that your right knee, as you press into the right foot, the right knee moves forward. The foot doesn't move, but the right knee moves forward in order for this to happen. Then you could start to go a little further. You might turn the belly more. You might come onto the left side by pressing into the ball of the right foot, lifting the heel and then back down. Good. And then just come back onto your back. And bend both knees. Inhale. And as you exhale, let's bring both knees in toward the belly and catch them with your hands above or below the knees. And start to make circles on your low back. And again, noticing, what areas of this might feel tight and good, like you're giving yourself a little massage on your low back or your hips. You can reverse directions if you're making circles. Good. And then coming back to the center, now we'll place one hand on each knee. And as you inhale, just draw those knees in close, thighs toward belly. And as you exhale, you're still going to hold the knees, but you just let them come away so your arms straighten. They just come straight away, and then repeat. It's just a very small little pumping action for your abdominal organs and also for your low back. Try to relax through your jaw, relax through your face. Good. And now let's just place one foot down and then the other. And notice how you feel through your low back. Following your breath in. And a long exhale. All right. We're going to come onto our bellies now. So you can roll over onto your side and continue to roll onto your belly. And we'll come into Sphinx pose. Now, Sphinx pose, as we've talked about in the past, can be really good if you are having a bulging disc that's bulging out the back. And this kind of squeezes it back in, and you don't have spinal stenosis in your low back that is not feeling good when you're in this, okay? So there's like all sorts of stuff that can go on with your low back, and you've got to see what works for you, okay? So you can check out Sphinx pose. And if it doesn't feel good, you could lower a little bit, like put your elbows out to the side, come lower down, or you could skip it all completely and just come down onto your forehead and practice your belly breath, okay? So you're gonna check it out in your own body. Because a lot of times, as I've mentioned before, people will have a bulging disc, but they'll also have spinal stenosis in their low back. And then it's like, well, because stenosis is a narrowing, usually of the back side of the spinal canal. So it feels really good for people to hinge forward. And that sometimes makes bulging discs worse, right? So it's like, gotta just play around, okay? So here we are, Sphinx pose, if it's working for you. And you're gonna really press your pubic bone down to the floor so that your butt muscles turn on, okay? And then you might be able to spread across your collarbones and just look down between your thumbs. Good. Following your breath in and out. Good. And then as you breathe in, let's stretch the left arm forward and let's get a little bit of a side stretch. And then I like to let my right knee bend and shift my hips so I can look around to the side. And then you can inhale, come back to the center again. And exhale, stretch the right arm forward and shift around to look to the left. Good. And then inhale back to center. And exhale, let's just lower down. For a moment, you can put your forehead on the backs of your hands or turn your head to the side and just wiggle, waggle your hips. And following your breath in and following your breath out. Good, and then again, breathing in. And breathing out. Good, and then let's come back up to Sphinx. And you can either hold here or we'll go into Cobra a little bit. And so let me explain first. Before we do that, let's find Sphinx, engage the butt muscles, and then exhale and engage the lower belly. So when you see me do that, like if I just let my lower belly hang, I compress in my low back a little bit. And if I engage my lower belly, you'll see it looks like the bend comes out of my low back. Can you see that? It's almost like if you were on a really, I think of like a doctor's metal table or something, or like a veterinarian's metal table, and it's like cold and you don't want your belly to touch it. So you're trying to engage and lift a little bit away, okay? And then if you want to, if your back is okay to do so and you want to check it out, you could inhale and try to lift the elbows a little bit up and keep your butt muscles engaged and your abdominals. And then exhale and I slowly lower the elbows and we'll repeat that. Okay, so it's just an exhale, go slowly. And you want to make sure your shoulders aren't coming up by your ears, you guys. Yeah, shoulder blades down the back and lower. So this section is almost like in an ideal world, if it were working the way we wanted, it would be like if you had a bulging disc, it's like it's squeezing it back in. It's like it's almost getting it back in there, relieving a little pressure on any nerves. Is it doing that? I'm not sure, but you can imagine that. Good. And then coming back down again, you can wiggle your hips side to side. Another thing you can do here as a relief is you can bend the knees and start to just windshield wiper upside down. So it's like you let the lower legs go to one side and then the other. Good. Now we're going to come up to hands and knees. So to do that, you can move through Sphinx and bring a knee forward like a half frog and then push up. And then come onto your hands and knees. Now, you could always do this on forearms. We're going to do our protract, retract of our shoulder blades, which often ends up helping the neck a little bit. So just as a reminder, if you haven't done this in a while, actually, let's do this so you can feel it. Let's get one of your blankets and roll it up. You can do this with a block too. If you have, I'll show it both ways. Okay, so I've got a skinny taquito, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put that right on my spine. So, but I want my head supported, so you might need a pillow, right? So that it's right between my shoulder blades, okay? Like, but it's going vertically. Can you see this? Boom, right? And you could also do this with two blocks. One is vertical on your spine, or that might be too high, huh? It could be low on your spine. It's just gonna be harder to squeeze. But you can feel it actually. Okay, so up to you, okay? I might suggest the blanket over this, but I kind of like this. All right. Now, what you're gonna do is on your inhale, I'm gonna go back to my blanket because I think that's friendlier for most people. Make sure your neck feels supported. And then taking both arms up toward the ceiling. Okay, and then you're going to inhale and reach your fingers as far as you can toward the ceiling with straight arms. So you're protracting the shoulder blades, they're widening. And then as you exhale, you're going to keep the arms straight, but sink the shoulders straight back and down, almost like you're squeezing that blanket between your shoulder blades. And then inhale, reach it up again. And exhale, squeeze it down. And so what the blanket does is it just gives your brain the feedback. You can feel it since you can't see that area of your body. You can get the feedback from the blanket. And your jaw's relaxed, your face is relaxed. Good. Okay. Now we're going to take that to a seated position. So you can roll to your side, press yourself slowly up, and just imagine you're on all fours. We're doing the same thing. So I'm squeezing my shoulder blades. My arms are just straight out in front of my shoulders. I'm going to squeeze them back together and press them forward, spreading them apart. Might be hard to get it if you haven't done it in a while. Remember, you're just not elevating, so you're not going up by your neck like this. It's just straight back, straight forward, straight back. And the action is happening here between the shoulder blades. Straight back, straight forward, straight back. In fact, you can do it against a wall too. You can feel it, straight back, straight forward. I actually really like this one too. And then you can take it to quadruped or tabletop. And you don't want to round or arch. You just boom, 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 boom. Relax your neck while you do it. Yeah, so your neck stays out of it. Good, and then let's stay in the protracted. That's the wide one. Inhale. Now exhale. Would it feel okay to thread your right arm underneath your left? Now you guys with the neck stuff, before you lay down on the side of your head, tuck your chin down a little bit and be gentle on the neck and shoulder. And come on down. We're going to come right back up. So we're going to inhale to press down into the left arm, left hand, and place the right hand down. And we're going to exhale. Now try threading the left under, tucking the chin. Ooh, and I just got an adjustment in my lumbar spine as I did that. And then inhale back up. But I'm going slowly. It felt really good. It wasn't any kind of pain. Right? Keeping your jaw soft. Noticing anybody in any pain, really going slowly, monitoring your muscle tension. Sometimes if you've been in chronic pain, which is any time over a couple of months, then your brain gets more sensitive. Your nervous system gets more sensitive and it sends pain quicker and it starts to clench muscles. So you have to be really gently, and it's almost like just gentle encouragement and keeping safe, feeling safe. Okay. After your next one, let's come back up to all fours. If it feels good to you, I'm going to give you a couple choices. One is cat and cow, round and arch. The other would be sitting back to child's pose, if that's something that feels good to you, and just letting your back round in child's pose can be a really nice stretch for some backs. And it depends on what's going on once again. Good. Feeling your breath go in and feeling your breath go out. Good, and then if you're back in child's pose, you could rise up. And let's use our bear get up. So just tuck in the toes under and walking the hands back, bending the knees to support your back as you inhale and lift up, reaching your arms up toward the ceiling. And then exhale and bringing the arms out to the sides and down. Good. And just shake things out a little bit. Notice how you feel. Maybe some little bounces. We haven't done bounces in a while. I wonder why. Okay, just letting your heels bounce up and down, the knees soft like you're on one of those little mini trampolines. Taking a couple sighs. Good. And we're going to come to sit in the chair for just a few things for the neck. We have a few people with neck stuff going on today. Let me keep an eye on the time here. You could always stay standed. Well, no, not for this first one. The first one, you want to be seated for this, okay? You can sit however you want to sit, but I recommend trying to sit upright because you're going to be twisting a little bit, okay? All right. So from here, just feeling your feet grounded. And the first thing we're going to do is just turn our head to the right. So I'm going to do my right. It's going to look opposite, maybe, depending on the viewing. And notice how far you can go without pain. You might notice stiffness. And then look as far as you can to the right and just make a mental note of what you can see with your eyes over there. And then follow your breath in and out, and then come back. Okay. Now, if you put your hands on your belly like this, if you're comfortable with that, or otherwise, this is just to focus your attention on this area. And what we're going to do is keep the nose lined up with the sternum. So we're not going to turn the head. We're going to twist from the belly as though you were turning your belly button where your hands are to the right only 5 times. So you'll exhale, turn the belly to the right, and inhale back. Now, don't turn your head, you guys. I can see some of you turning your head. So you'll see, look how far I go. That's all I got. Okay, that's only far I got. If I turn my head, then yeah, but I'm only turning my belly and back. Okay, this is a training for the brain. So it's like neuromuscular stuff to help neck stiffness and mobility. 5 times. Okay. Then come back to center, and now you can put your hands on your chest, because now we're going to be focusing on turning the sternum. Again, I actually like to do this silly thing because it reminds me to keep my chin lined up with my chest. You don't have to do that, but that's how I'm going to show it. You can also do this, okay? So now to the right 5 times. I'm going to exhale, turning from the chest. I get a little more range. And then back. And you may or may not get more range. That's just my experience. And nose is staying right in the middle, lined up with your little sternoclavicular notch there. I think I went more than 5 times, but that's okay. Coming back, now you can rest your arms. Now we're going to turn just the head 5 times to the right. Again, not going into any pain, okay? So 5 times you can exhale, turn, inhale, come back. Good. And then coming back after your 5 times. Now this one is real fun. It's just your eyeballs that are going to turn to the right. So they like look to the right and then they come back to center. They both go to the right and come back 5 times. The eyes are really connected to the neck. Okay, in the brain. Okay, here we go. Good, just make sure you're not holding your breath. All right, so we're sticking with the right. Now we're just going to go back and turn just the head and just see if there's any difference from when we started. Notice if there's any difference in sensation, stiffness, or even where you can see. For me, I just have slightly less stiffness. I'm still pretty stiff on this side of my neck today, but I have a little less stiffness and I could see just a little bit further on the wall behind me. Sometimes this thing works really well and sometimes it doesn't. It just depends on what you got going on, all right? Let's try the second side, okay? So first thing is we're just gonna check. So we're gonna turn the head to the left. This side's stiff too in me. And then look as far as you can over there with your eyeballs and see what you can see and make note. Keep breathing. Okay, and come back around and we'll start with the belly. Okay, so remember everything stays lined up. You're turning the belly 5 times to the left. You can use your exhale to turn. Inhale back. Good, and after your 5 times, we go to the chest. Okay, you can do either one. Turning the chest to the left. You can use your exhale to turn. Good, come back to the center. Now it's just the head. Good, Not going into any pain. And now just the eyes. To the side and then back. Relaxing through your jaw. Good. And now we'll check again, okay? So just turn the head. Ooh. So this side had a big difference for me as far as stiffness and range. Okay, then come back to the center. And we're just going to take your hands behind your head, interlace them if that feels okay. And you're going to try to tuck your chin down and press your head into the back of your hands. Keep your nose forward, not pointing down. So you're making like a double chin. It's like instead of this, like looking down, it's this, like a chicken head coming back, and you're providing resistance. Good, and then release. And let's just inhale, roll the shoulders up. Exhale, take them down your back. We're gonna just try a couple more, okay? Okay, this one. I'm gonna do my right. So I'm taking my right hand and I'm gonna place it, here's my collarbone. I'm gonna place it below it on my sternum, sort of near the midline. Here's my midline, right? And I'm pulling down on my skin. And then I'm gonna take my other hand and I'm going to pull down. Okay, so this is the resistance. And then what I'm gonna do is very slowly and carefully start to tilt my head away, relax the other shoulder, away from my hands. And so I don't feel anything unless I pull this down. And then I'm going to relax my jaw. You can even open and close it. So you're stretching this SCM muscle here, that big ropey one that's here on the side of your neck. And feel it. And the M stands for mastoid, which is back here behind there. And you can move your chin. So, you can see, do I want my chin like this? Do I want my chin like this? You can play around, just go slowly so that you don't get into any crunchy nerve fiery things. Just go carefully. Big breaths. Okay, good. Just come back to the center and notice how you feel, and we'll try the other side. So you can find it over on the left. I like to use my dominant hand, which is my right, because I get more of a pull. That's why I'm using that one on the bottom, but you can do it however you want. And then I'm just gonna lean my head any amount away, whatever feels right to you. And then I loosen my jaw. Because when I open and close, that's when I can really feel this pull. And you can choose where to have your chin. Does it want to be higher, lower, turned? Keep breathing and don't go into any pain, just stretching. Good, and then slowly release and just inhale, squeeze the shoulders up, and exhale, drop. Now I've got several more, but we're not gonna do them in the interest of time because I wanna get you standing up for a minute and then relaxing, okay? All right, inhale, squeeze up. We'll do more next week. Good, and then just slowly standing up. Yeah, and you can put your chair that's at the front of your mat. We're not going to get to much balance today, but you know you can always find tons of balance on any of the other sessions. There's short ones too, to just do a quick 10-minute practice. They're in there, okay, to get your balance in. Daily, I would recommend for balance, but here we go. We're going to take the feet wide. So I've got mine as wide as my mat, and now I'm going to take them just wide, a little wider, but you can do it however wide you want. And I inhale, and I'm going to exhale, bring my hands down to my chair. Now, of course, you want to make sure you have no back pain here. Okay, so check in. Maybe bending the knees would help. Now, if you find when you take your hands to the chair that you're like this, you're rounded, then what you want to do is bend the knees so you can untuck the tail. And feel like you're trying to, if you had a big fluffy tail, you were trying to send it up toward the ceiling. Okay, and now all I'm going to do, my legs are straight, so I'm going to leave them both straight. If your legs are bent, you'd leave them both the same amount of bend as I start to shift my hips side to side. It's kind of hard to see, so I'm going to get closer in a minute, but all I'm doing here, this is the view as though, and I'm just doing this, okay? And so this is another one I love for the hips and the sacrum and pelvis area. You can kind of feel what's tight in there, what's not, and you just go carefully side to side, breathing. Yeah, relaxing your neck. So if you find that you're setting your chin forward, just try to look down on your chair seat. Good. Now, if a forward fold feels good in your body, you could now just come to center and you could take your forearms to the chair, your head to the chair. Or you could even come down further if you wanted and move away from the chair and fold. Wherever you are, just feel your feet on the floor and feel your breath come in. Feel your breath go out. Good. And then if you're down far, just taking your hands back to the chair and wiggle your feet closer together. And now we're going to do a chair down dog. So you can bend the knees and stretch the hips back. This is another one I like when I'm out in alignment around the pelvis. What I do is I bend one knee and straighten the other. So my pelvis kind of shifts. And then I do the opposite. And I see, which side feels like it needs that a little more. And then I might hang out on that side. Keep your breath going. Good. Okay. Now let's inhale, walk a little closer to the chair, and just exhale. We're going to come down onto the floor. So you just want to make sure you have enough space. If you have a block, you'll use that. And if you don't have a block, you'll take your rolled up blanket or towel and use that. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is supported bridge pose. So if you know, like if you're in low back pain and you know that being in bridge pose makes it worse today, or you think it might, you could instead, I'm going to give another option, because sometimes if I've thrown my back out, or if some of my clients have, sometimes bridge pose, it hurts, and sometimes it feels great. So if you're in a hurting day, you might just take your legs over the chair and rest, okay, like this. Just go straight into your rest. If you want to try supported bridge, you'd come away from the chair. You'd set yourself up for it with knees bent, and then you'd inhale, lift the hips, slide a block underneath your butt, underneath your sacrum, and let the hips rest. You would do the same thing with your rolled up towel or blanket. You would just roll it up. It has to be firm, and it's below the butt, it's below the sacrum, not the low back. You can move your shoulder blades down your back and just come into a few belly breaths to start. And if you are in it and it feels fine and then it becomes painful, you just come out as soon as it does, okay? Just get out of there. Big belly inhales, long exhales. Now, one thing you can try is straightening out one leg on the floor, keeping the other one bent, but only if that doesn't bother your low back. You can test it. And if you're doing that, feel like you're sending your breath all the way down to the front of your pelvis of the straight leg. And then you can also try doing the other side and see if that feels good or not so good. For me, the second side feels better. The first side felt like something I didn't need right now. Good. And then if you haven't already, if you don't have both knees bent, just bend both knees. And now all I'm doing is rocking my sacrum on the block. So it's like I'm giving, or if you have a rolled up blanket, you can do it too. Just giving it a little massage. I like the pressure from the block. As many of you know, just from coming to these sessions, that if you're in chronic pain, any of that longer term pain, you really want to really avoid the pain and just work incrementally right below any kind of flare up so that you increase the sense of safety in your nervous system. Good. Now, when and if you're ready to come out, you would just come back to center, lift the hips, engage your glutes, slide it out. Slide the prop out, come down, and either windshield wiper your knees, or you could bring your knees into your chest. If you've got your legs over the chair, you can just even stay there if you want. Good. So then let's decide how you want to rest for your final relaxation. So you could put your legs over the chair. In fact, that's what I'm going to do here. You could come out to Shavasana with your legs straight. You could take legs up the wall. You could take any restorative position, getting any blankets or pillows you might want. I'm getting comfortable. Letting your inner thighs relax wherever you've chosen to be. Letting your jaw soften and your eyes soften. Maybe taking a sigh or two. Just letting go of as much effort as you can. Noticing how you feel. And then staying here for at least a couple of minutes, and even longer if you have time. You can always set yourself a timer and practice relaxing here. Thank you.
Recording stopped.